Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Good news, I'm not dead. Sorry it's been a long time since the last upload. It's been quite a while. I don't even remember when I last uploaded. But we're back on the new Campaign Trail Showcase. And we're playing the 1856 election today. This has been a mod I've been putting off for a while because, I'm not the biggest fan of the older elections, but we gotta dive into some older ones. We did 2004 and 2012 in the last couple episodes. I think this is the first episode we're doing in the 1800s, so this will be interesting. So 1856 election, context. We're coming off of the Pierce presidency, which has just been kicking down the can of slavery. Yep, because nobody wants to deal with that. So now we got Democrat James Buchanan. Pennsylvania legislator. He was also like a diplomat, a secretary of state, or something, whatever. On paper, he was incredibly qualified at the time. He held a lot of positions in a lot of various new administrations up to this point. Unfortunately for James Buchanan, or for the United States, this guy was one of the least effective presidents we've ever had. He's from Pennsylvania. He claimed to be anti-slavery, anti-expansionist, and yet every policy and law he enacted when it came to slavery favored the South. So, interesting man that James Buchanan is here. Often considered one of, if not the worst president in U.S. history. But at the time, again, he was incredibly qualified to be president. And a lot of people thought that, yeah, a guy with his qualifications can maybe save the country. So now we're going to talk about his opponents. We have John C. Fremont, the very first Republican candidate. So the Whigs are gone after 1852. Party essentially disbands, and the remnants of them, and along with northern anti-slavery Democrats, join and create the Republican Party. Now, John C. Fremont, he was a senator from California and also an explorer of the Western Territories. It says Fremont does not come without his blemishes. He was a California military governor, and being Catholic, because remember, that's for some reason a big deal. He's also an erratic extremist, because the Republican Party is very new. Nobody really knows what their policies are, so there is a bit of a power scare there. Fremont is not expected to win, being an anathema to the South and competing with the know-nothing base in the North. Fighting for the Republican cause is most important in this political state. So, essentially what the game is saying, that the goal is not to win, but it's to just not get our ass beat. Which, we'll see if we can try and win. We'll pull off a miracle. But yeah, at this point, it's kind of unheard of that a campaign can be won without using the South. Obviously, we'll see later in 1860, Lincoln did just that, didn't win a single Southern state, and still won the election. Next, though we do have a third party here, Millard Fillmore, former president and vice president. He's kind of an interesting case. Know Nothing Party, from my knowledge, is essentially a party of anti-immigration, anti-minority, very pro-America first. He was also very controversial. Again, a northerner who was kind of anti-slavery, but he passed a lot of pro-slavery laws, enacted the Fugitive Slave Act here. So we're gonna not play as Fillmore today because I want to have a good time playing this game. We're gonna play as Fremont. And we're going to see if we can deliver the Republicans a victory in their first ever presidential election. Looks like we only have one VP candidate. William L. Dayton. He's a former New Jersey senator, strong force against the expansion of slavery, to the point of losing his Senate seat in 1851 over opposing the Compromise of 1850. So he's almost, I guess, what we would consider later a radical Republican. Being a conscious Whig, however, New Jersey looks to be a tough climb. All right, let's get started. So, Fremont, Dayton. And let's take a look at the map. All right, so we're the red, Buchanan's the blue. We got a Republican American fusion? Is that the Know Nothings? I have no idea. Currently, we are losing, of course. Fillmore actually has votes, even though he didn't get any in real life. And it's a 3-way vote. So, alright. Let's get started. So, Commodore Robert F. Stockton appointed you as military governor of California. However, Brigadier General Stephen W. Kearny, what a name, is on the orders of President Polk to establish military control over the state. So, this is 1847. So, we're about 9 years before this election actually takes place. Kearny does not stop the troops' strength to enforce those orders. Kearny orders you to stand down and allow him to fulfill his command. Will you accept this demotion? Robert Stockton awarded me this position. I wish for Kearny to provide sufficient evidence that he isn't on the orders of President Polk. I will delay obeying these orders and hope Washington will send instructions for me to become military governor. It's probably best to not cause controversy right now, so we're just going to kind of stand down. Kearny sends Colonel Richard B. Mason to give you further orders, of which you refuse. Tensions run high, and you challenge Mr. Mason to a duel, but you are arrested and under court-martial, a black mark in the Pathfinder's record. Well, something tells me that's not how I was supposed to handle that. Doesn't really change much, because we're 9 years out before the election anyway. 1855, you have received correspondence from Massachusetts Senator Henry Wilson and House Speaker Nathaniel Banks regarding joining the Masson Republicans as their national nominee. They recognize your Senate loss to the pro-expansionist faction and see you as the leader to bring the party into the greater ground. So, I shall take part. I will speak and write to the best of my ability for peace, free soil, and the need to defeat the democratic machine. I have been working for so long, I will shape this party to the best of my abilities, and I will seek to preempt any and all other anti-democratic opponents. I would have preferred to continue my work. I fear you can call elsewhere. Okay, so we're probably not going to do that. Let's go with the stronger one. I have been working for all along, I will shape this party and preempt any and all our anti-democratic opponents. Most fall in line, sure. The American Party, stubborn in their nativism, refused to budge, especially not towards a man named Fremont, who, to them, is easily a secret papist. Which, I mean, we are Catholic, so. There is a commotion on the streets of Philadelphia. You are the first Republican nominee for the presidency seeking to challenge slave-powered Democrats. After a continuous convention, how will you write your letter accepting? Right, because we don't give speeches at this time. Everything's letters. I will pen a letter detailing how gracious I am to be the nominee, and I promise to uphold its principles. This will include congressional sovereignty in the territories and non-polygamy settlements. I don't know if that's really a big issue. Being this a new party, I think we are in some fertile ground training voters. I shall denounce the Democratic Party as the party of rum and Romanism. Domestic policy is just as important. Low tariffs and help manufacturers. We can kind of make the appeal to the North and the Midwest. And slavery. Proud opponent of slave power. Or should we just go all... Is slavery like the number one issue? It is the number one issue. So, in the states we need it, we're not going to win the South. We're not even going to try. We're not even on the ballot in pretty much all these states. So, we'll go slavery. Your party believes they can win without the South. If they sweep the North, their statement is a good start. Alright. Ohio's 1 point. Not Buchanan. Illinois is 3. Missouri is winnable. Oh, no, Missouri, we're not in contention. Yeah, we're getting owned in Pennsylvania. I mean, Buchanan is from Pennsylvania, so I kind of would expect that. Maybe we can try and deadlock if Fillmore's going to get votes here. The Walker tariff reduced tariff rates from 32 to 25%. The amended version as being passed is lowering it to 15 to 24. Between 15 to 24. Will you sign this bill? So in the states we're trying to win, tariffs are pretty, yeah, they're all supporting of tariffs, so we want to come out kind of in support of higher tariffs. I'm all for low tariffs. Yeah, we're not doing that. We need to emphasize support for free trade. Tariffs protect industry. I will work to raise tariffs. Let's remain silent. We'll work to raise tariffs. Red meat for the Republican base and skeptical for former Whigs. Yeah, so the Whigs just kind of split off and joined the party more. The anti-slavery ones joined the Republican Party, obviously, and then kind of the rest of them are more on the economically Democrat side, so... But most Whigs were economically liberal at the time. I guess free trade would be considered more of a progressive stance at that point. President Franklin Pierce vetoed the bill that would provide 10 million acres of federal land to be sold for the support asylums for indigent insane. Would you consider legislation to fund the creation or expansion of institutions? So, in this time, I guess the Republican Party would be considered the more progressive party. So, let's see. Federal lands have already been used to promote the construction of railroads, and there is discussion of a Homestead Act. We just do not have the necessary room. I believe that to set aside a large amount of land for the mentally ill is an unwarranted expansion of federal authority, but we kind of want more federal authority right now. We'll just kind of say that we've already been doing a lot with the land. Let's just leave it alone. This is a good way to reject the proposal without coming across as a stooge. Still, one question this arises. Do you support the aforementioned Homestead Act? Let's hope they don't ask. Because I don't know if Fremont supported that. I would assume not. That's a Democrat policy. So we're at 1 point. Kind of things really changing. Under the Pierce administration, Commodore Matthew Perry visited Japan. Isn't that the guy who forcefully willed Japan into becoming non-isolationist? In an effort to expand trade in the East, did you agree? Yeah, Commodore Perry single-handedly ended over 200 years from isolationism. Perhaps it's best to remain silent. Who authorized Perry's expedition? This was a violation. Okay, we probably don't want to do that. I guess we can come out and support it. I don't really know what Fremont supported in real life, but it seems like it kind of is a popular thing all the way around. Japan's outdated government and military makes them a smart choice for trade agreements. The party is pleased to hear your support. Okay, good. All right, that helped us a little bit. We're now 3 points ahead in Ohio, and a point closer in Illinois. The Kansas-Nebraska Act. Oh boy, the Kansas-Nebraska Act. Undid the Compromise of 1850 and allowed the territory of Kansas to decide for themselves whether to decide to allow slavery. It has led to voter fraud and census bloodshed in Kansas. What is your solution? One of the darkest things in American history is, the Kansas-Nebraska Act. Incredibly horrible sight. Let's see. Well, obviously, we got to come out against this. All right. Mr. Douglas and the Democrats, through their undemocratic practices, caused a bloody conflict in Kansas territories. I demand Franklin Pierce adopt the Topeka Constitution and recognize the free government of Kansas. Let's bring some fire. This is what your supporters want to hear. To your base, the anti-expansion government of Kansas is much more legitimate than the slavery-permitting one. All right, maybe also Illinois and Iowa will kind of appreciate that because they don't want slave neighbors. Your party calls for the prohibition of slavery in all territories, which has led Southern states' rights activists to support your claim that it will lead to an invasion of freed slaves. They're not going to do this, so endorse compromise, popular sovereignty. That's a Democrat position. That's precisely why I was nominated. I was the moderate campaign of our partyman. I will not yield to abolition. Merely do not want slavery expanded into territories. See, I don't think abolition is going to be popular, because even in 1860, Lincoln didn't run on abolition either. We should not get too detailed. We are not for the equality. We hate slavery, and we shall assist our downtrodden poor white workers. This is kind of more of a moderate approach. Slavery is important to preserving the natural order. We're not going to say that. We can go kind of more aggressive. I guess we'll go aggressive. It may put a damper on your more enthusiastic supporters, but the idea of abolishing slavery entirely is just not in the realm of possibility yet. It's not even in the realm of possibility 4 years from now. It's not till 1862 or 1863 where it kind of becomes more feasible. Yeah, we're good. We're kind of getting beat in the Midwest right now. President Pierce and Democratic nominee James Buchanan have been cold towards legislation redistributing land for the new Homestead Act. So this is a chance to maybe pull some Democratic support here, since both of the Democratic candidates support it. So a new Homestead Act has brought into appeal not just among Northerners but poor Southerners, but also in both parties. We have already set a line. It's kind of more of what we said earlier, but I think we have a good chance to pick off some support here. A good way to remind voters for supporting the Homestead Act is not a radical petition. It forced Democratic-leaning voters to reassess their vote for Buchanan. Nice. So hopefully we can take a hit to Buchanan here. Definitely gave us a lead in Ohio. Brought us back a little bit closer to Illinois. Indiana's still kind of out of reach. It's a 7-point. Are we on the ballot? So pretty much from the 40th parallel here, we're not on the ballot in the United States. We are on the ballot in California, but we're down 11 points. Actually, we're third here. I just realized that. So we're not winning California. New Jersey, we can win. We are on the ballot, but again, we are in third. We're down 15 points. Man. How will you address the issue of the polygamy in the Utah territory? So, yeah, when we get Utah, there's a bunch of Mormons there. There still are. And at this time, a lot of people don't like their culture. So, I believe in the federal government should respect the local customs. That's what they probably should do, but it's not what people are going to want us to do. Brigham Young, the founder of BYU, yes, the college, Brigham Young University, was actually based on the founder of Mormonism, and also 49er and Super Bowl winning quarterback Steve Young is a relative of Brigham Young. Great-grandson, I think? Anyways, Brigham Young is less of a radical than his predecessor. The Mormons are more likely to be our allies and not enemies. Addressing the Mormons and Brigham Young will do no good. I will enforce federal laws and work to integrate Utah. Probably should just say this. This aligns with the Republican platform and appeals to mainstream. Alright, nice. Oh, okay, that brought us some good in Illinois and Indiana, so we're getting closer. 3 points in Illinois. Nice. You support the idea of granting citizenship to immigrants, particularly those who have contributed significantly to American society. I don't know how much of an issue this is right now. Immigration's not a thing that I'm seeing pop up here as a huge issue. But there is a whole party, kind of, an anti-immigrant party. No, I believe citizenship is restricted. Quietly encouraged if we are to move on from slavery. Yes, I believe immigrants who contribute. We need to legalize and bureaucratic practices. Similar to indentured servitude. Okay, probably not going to say that. We'll quietly encourage it. A tad cynical of you to acknowledge the deeper, colder meaning behind your pro-immigration stance, but this was never specifically uttered, so no harm, no foul. Okay. Senator Charles Sumner gives a fiery speech announcing the Kansas-Nebraska Act. His Sumner also marked Butler's speaking ability, which had been affected by a recent stroke. His cousin, Preston Brooks, confronted Sumner and proceeded to beat him at his desk with a cane. Is there a difference here? The humanity. Sumner suffers minor injuries, but is able to leave in one piece. A dark day for the Union, but one that could have been worse. I don't know if that's good for us or not. Okay, we're within 2 points of Illinois. Let's go. Democrats and Know-Nothings have accused you of being a secret Catholic, which, I mean, Fremont is Catholic, so... Uncovering the fact that your wedding was ordained by a Catholic priest. Do you have any plan to refute this? Are the Know-Nothings not the anti-Catholic vote? We're not even on the ballot in the South. It seems like the South is kind of the ones that care more, which, yeah, we're not even fighting. The North is less anti-Catholic than the South. We can overcome this if we remind that Pierce and Buchanan are not friends. We can overcome this. I will contact a willing minister to claim he oversaw my marriage to my wife. So let's fight fire with fire. Contact and have Horace Greeley write Buchanan's involvement with the cancer. Kind of can get dirty. Kind of try and scoot it over. We can ignore it. We'll try and get... We'll fight fire with fire. While Buchanan tactically supports the slavery-backed government of Kansas, he had little to do with the bloodshed. Still, at least you are fighting back. Maybe the constant attacking will mean people care less. Alright. Yikes. Not a great. Ohio's only 1 point up for us. Your wife, Jessie, is playing an extremely active role in your campaign, rallying support for her husband. Will you attempt to publicize her efforts? Probably not a good idea to publicize our wife in 1856. Just the norms of the time, people. I don't want her to maybe not do anything. I would rather not make a comment. Integral part of the campaign. Be essential. We'll just kind of let her do her thing. Your advice is deemed a suitable middle ground. Alright. Yeah, just kind of let her do her thing. We don't need to take a huge action against that. Both Buchanan and Fillmore are urging cooperation with the Fugitive Slave Law. Harsh penalties. Alright, Fugitive Slave Act. So we definitely need to come out against this. Why even bother replying to this trap of a question? These laws undermine the spirit of Henry Clay and Daniel Webster. Their last gift to this glorious union was to compromise to save our union. We will urge compromise in the same vein as late Henry Clay. I don't know if going in wigs are going to be the greatest idea. I unapologetically endorse the Massachusetts law and encourage every state to follow suit. The North's sovereignty has the right to exist as the South. Let's pick that. Excellent reply. The Massachusetts Liberty Act is a real thorn in the side of slavers wishing to move their slaves up north or to return them to their plantation. Nice. Ooh, there we go. Ohio, plus 5 points. We're within 1 point of Illinois here. Let's go. Iowa's only 4 votes, but it's still an important state to win. Every vote matters. Democrats have made overtures to expand the country into regions in Latin America and even lobbied to wage war with Spain over Cuba. So, mainly the South is trying to get a power move to expand slavery. into the Caribbean and into some parts of northern Mexico. So we're definitely going to come out against this. War with Spain is ridiculous. We can barely hold the Uter. Oh my god, hold the Uter? What the hell's a Uter? We can barely hold this union together as she stands. Of course I would. We support the Homestead Act. We don't probably want to do that. At this moment, I believe that it is unwise. We are in a fragile state of disunity. We have enough land at disposal. Let's just say it's unwise. It's not a smart idea. A calm, measured response. Any chance you get to look like the wise man in the room is necessary to take. Amazing. Not doing a whole lot. We're kind of already getting to the last third here. How will you assure us as voters concerns that your election will bring about civil war? It's kind of creeping in the back of people's minds here. How is it my fault that my election will occur a civil war? Have I told Southerners to give up their slaves and their liberty? I will not dignify this baseless slander with a response. We will tone down our rhetoric. We are all Americans, and any attempt to secede will be condemned swiftly, despite my qualms about Andrew Jackson. We'll just say secession's crazy, and anyone who tries is bad. We'll get rid of it. Some are reassured, but few minds change. Nah, whatever. Didn't help us a lot at all. Indiana's kind of starting to look like maybe a lost cause here. Fresh off the press, your father-in-law, the influential Democratic Senator Thomas Hart Benton, elect to endorse the Democratic candidate James Buchanan over you, his son-in-law. Alright, so we do not need the endorsement of a tool for slave power, and I'm not afraid to publicly say it. I am dismayed, but we should not draw attention. It will only discredit us. Besides, we're not even on the ballot in Missouri. And, we only got his RNG. Do I want to take a risk with an RNG question right now? Or we're going to publicly denounce it. We're not going to be afraid. Benton writes back fiery rhetoric denouncing your campaign, and both Buchanan and Fillmore make light of this, while your wife Jessie takes your side. This is a major blow. Well, that was not a good idea. I mean, we're closer in Illinois. That's something, right? I don't know how Fillmore's holding on to Maryland. Strange. It has been floated around that James Buchanan and the late Vice President William R. King shared more than a communion. Former President Jackson even referred to them as a Miss Nancy and Aunt Fancy. We draw attention to this. Our party men are known for their skilled forgeries for the sake of benevolent causes. Let us forge letters. That's a great idea. We're not doing that. This is just not enough evidence to even fabricate a story. We would need to move on to something else, not disrespect the dead. We can certainly bring attention, if it's true, is quite okay, yeah. We're just not going to worry about it. I mean, there's no point. While it's tempting to get into the gutter, this is not the way to do it. It just proves too easy for Buchanan to deny the accusations and condemn you for your disrespect to the late Vice President. Yeah, but let's just not say anything. 5 questions to go, and I don't think really much has changed, since the start of the game, so we're going to need a miracle here. The Republican Party is obviously for internal improvement, but what ambitious projects, if any, will your administration undertake? Yeah, because we inherited a lot of the Whig support and the more progressive internal improvements, so let's go ahead and take a look what we got. Transcontinental Railroad is a big thing. The South is notoriously underdeveloped. I don't think appealing to the South is really going to help us, and they don't even want the development anyway. Not the federal government, that's a Democrat stance. There's a bill standing island Congress to provide each state with 30,000 acres of land. To promote liberal and practical education. Let's do the Continental Railroad. It's a pretty big supportive thing. Support for the railroad is paramount to reinventing the U.S. economy and has broad support. Oh my god, okay, Ohio's close. Doesn't seem like it helped us at all. What are your thoughts on popular sovereignty and its effect on Kansas since its incorporation? Popular sovereignty is bad. We don't like it. So, it undermines the Missouri Compromise and does not account for the massive cases of fraud. Stephen Douglas' insistence on burying its head in the sand results in the lives of Americans. I am, for one, appalled that he can peacock around in the broad daylight. There's little use using Kansas. Nah. Popular sovereignty. We're just going to say popular sovereignty undermines the Missouri Compromise. Buchanan will try to distance himself from Douglas' policies, but in the same vein, trying to legitimize the illegitimate government of Kansas. Tie him down and point out these contradictions. All right. Seems like a good response. Oh, my God. Illinois 5 points out. Indiana 7. If purely hypothetically slavery is abolished, what is the future of labor force in the North and South? Higher wages through more bargaining power. As they've been undermined. So it's kind of the more of the socialist stance. at the time, this is like way out of line in the 1850s. The influx of immigrants is suitable. Our goal is to alter the landscape of labor by abolishing slavery, providing them with important power. This is like the even more sense. Let's just say the influx of immigrants. I mean, this pleases the party bosses, but also enrages your supporters and energizes Fillmore's base. Well, Fillmore ain't doing anything anyway. Regarding the monetary issue, what is the Republican stance? The current system is sufficient enough. We ought to resurrect the banking issue. This is kind of a dead, topic by 1856. We are for a fiat currency largely backed with paper currency that will set the motion of the flow of money in the system of our ambitious. Oh my god, I cannot speak today, guys. It's quite late when I'm recording this, so my words are all over the place. Set the flow of money in the system to fund our ambitious policies such as infrastructure and funding the railroad. We should not count on gold proper. This is like a stance for 50 years down the line. We'll just say this. I mean, this works for policies of infrastructure and railroads. You're a little too progressive here in advocating for a complete overhaul of the monetary policy. Your statement makes it easier for Buchanan and Fillmore to label you as radical. Probably not the best idea. We're not getting anywhere. I don't think we're going to do that well. Archbishop John Hughes led a political battle to secure funding for Catholic schools. He rallied support from both the elected Tammany Democrats and from the opposition Whigs, but you continue this policy. Probably don't want to say too much about this. So we'll just say this has been settled. Given the fact that you're being slandered as a secret Catholic, it is debatable as whether you're better off embracing it. Yeah, this is not going to go well. As an election, where do you like to speak? Pennsylvania, the Midwest, I guess. Alright. I don't think we did too well in this election. Something tells me that. So when he won 49 to win this, let's see what we got. Maryland goes Fillmore. Did Maryland go for Fillmore? Did Fillmore get an electoral vote in real life? I don't think he won a state. Interesting. Let's see. Obviously, it's all South right now. Indiana, 4 points was the difference. So not as much as it was projecting. The fusion, we won the fusion here. Oh, I guess our numbers and the nativist numbers combined to make one number. So we actually ended up winning Pennsylvania. Win Ohio by 2 points here. Michigan by about 13. Wisconsin was safely ours. It actually could be close here without Pennsylvania for Buchanan. Still need about 38% of the vote left to count here. We'll see what Illinois brings. I think Illinois could push them over the edge here. I don't know how many votes they have. Let's see, 75. Iowa was ours, so even 4 points. California goes. So we were third place. We were distant. It's going to be up to Illinois here, which I think he wins, unfortunately, just based on the last polling. 95, 97. Yep. Oh, wait, no. Nobody won. Ha! He's 2 votes short. House decides Nativist and Fillmore rise to presidency. Wait, what? One could perceive this as a cruel irony, so close to victory and immortality yet so far. On the bright side, you put a real scare into the Democrats and managed to gridlock the election despite being shut off of the South entirely. Democrats are blaming Fillmore's third-party candidacy, and he will have tremendous work to do if he wants to mend those fences and be president again. As for you, maybe the Republicans will call your name in 1860, and you can have one more chance. You have exceeded your party's expectations, and given the state of the Democrats and Fillmore, it is likely neither will be formidable in the next cycle. You ran a glorious campaign, Mr. Fremont, and though you came up short, you struck a blow against slave power. So we did do better than Fremont did in real life. I don't know what the path I don't know if there's a path to victory here. I guess maybe if you pick all the right answers, you can pick off Illinois and Indiana. Was that 24 votes here? So which is what, 138? You still wouldn't have enough. I don't know what the path to victory is here. If there even is one. We got 0.5% of the vote in Delaware. Nice. Alright. Fortunately, no historical results here. Buchanan did win this election. But alright, well, thank you all for tuning into this video of the new campaign trail. I am going to pre-record a lot of videos, so I don't have a months-long hiatus. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss when the next part actually does come out. So long.